Hey everybody, I have a devotional thought for you today, and we are wrapping up the story of Joseph. Easily one of my all-time favorite stories, and there's really some great stuff in here. There's not a lot of reading actually for today. I'm going to kind of breeze through the end of the story just because there's a lot there, and you can pick and choose little parts of it, but it's the overall picture that you need to see. If you remember from our previous devotional, Joseph had just interpreted the dreams of Pharaoh, and Pharaoh was so impressed with his planning and his forethought that he puts Joseph in charge of all of Egypt. He's in charge of the food. When the famine comes, Joseph is the one who has prepared for 7 years for this moment. And 2 years into the famine, it's spreading well beyond just Egypt. It's going to all the other lands, including Joseph's family back in Canaan, where they first came from. His brothers, his father, are all suffering from this same famine. So the brothers get together and they decide that they've heard there's food in Egypt, so they're going to go and they're going to try to get some food. They show up not realizing that the person they're going to beg for food is their brother. And it's been so long that they don't recognize him. At this point, it has been upwards of 20 years since they have seen him. He was in Potiphar's house for 11 years. He was in prison for 2 years. And now there were 7 years of abundance. And now we're 2 years into the famine. So if you're doing the math, that's 11 and 2 is 13 plus 7 and 2. 22 years since they've seen his brothers. Joseph recognizes them immediately. He sees them in the crowd, sees them out there, and knows that those are his brothers. So he brings them up. And instead of all the options that he has, he's the ruler of Egypt outside of Pharaoh. Pharaoh's the most powerful guy. He is number 2. He can have these brothers immediately killed for absolutely no reason that the Egyptians even need to know about. He can exact his revenge. He could have them all sold into slavery like he was with Potiphar. He can have them all just thrown in prison to rot for 2 years like he did. Probably the most merciful thing he could do, he could have just turned them away and said, no, I'm not going to deal with your kind here. Go back where you came from. Deal with it yourself. Joseph does more. What follows is kind of this cat and mouse game that involves the brothers and the youngest brother who doesn't come with them because he is the true brother of Joseph from the same mother, the second youngest, and now the favored child of Jacob. Basically, Joseph pretends to not know them, doesn't let on that, or they don't catch on to who he is. He sends them back with the grain, and he slips the money back in. The money that they paid him for that grain, he sends back. Except, he keeps one brother. And he says, I don't trust you guys. I think you might be spies coming to see how much we have from another country. This is the story he's telling him. Of course, he doesn't believe this. But he says, I'll keep one brother. You bring me that youngest brother. And if you bring him, I'll know that your story's true. I know that you are who you say you are. And if you bring him back, I'll let this brother go and everything will be fine. Well, the brothers take the grain back. They discover that the money that they paid is still in their sacks with the grain. And they become very dismayed because they think that something has happened where they got away without paying for something. Have you ever done that where you walk out of a store and you look down and you say, oh no, I didn't pay for something that was under my bag or my coat or in the cart, and you feel like I have to go back in and pay for that. That's the right thing to do. The brothers are afraid that if they turn around though and they don't come back with the youngest brother, that their other brother will be killed and show them as spies. So they go back to Jacob, tell them this story, and Jacob's very dismayed. He believes he's lost yet another son now, and he won't let Benjamin go. Well, it isn't long before the grain that they got runs out again, or at least begins to run low. And Jacob says again, you have to go back. You have to go back and get us more. And they say, we got to take Benjamin, the youngest. We got to take him, or else, 1, they won't let us back in. 2, they won't let us have our other brother back. And there's no chance we get any grain. So they get him, they talk Jacob into that. They bring Benjamin, the youngest brother. Basically, this whole rigmarole, if you will, that Joseph puts them through is to find out, one, if they are true to their word, if they will do the things that they say that they will do. He wants to find out their character. Two, he brings up the story of the lost brother, and he wants to hear their reaction. He wants to know, as a stranger to them, if they really are sorry about what they did to their brother. And three, Joseph wants to reconnect with his family. He wants to see that youngest brother yet again, that one that he was the closest to. He wants to reunite. While the other brother was there in prison, they spent time together. Again, under the guise that he didn't know him, but he gets to know him there in prison. Finally, when this all comes back and the money's sorted out and everyone's blessed and it's all being revealed, and basically when he first says it, he says, "I'm Joseph. I'm your brother. I'm the one that you sold into slavery." They become very afraid. They know how powerful this man is, and now they find out that he's their brother, but that they have absolutely not a foot to stand on. He could do anything to them at this point, and he would be within his right. They're terrified. And Joseph looks down, and this is where he comes up with the verse. This is in Genesis 45. He begins to tell them his way, how he sees things. And now, this is verse 5 in Genesis 45. "And now, do not be distressed or angry with yourselves because you sold me here. For God sent me here before you to preserve life. For the famine has been in these lands for 2 years, and there is another 5 years in which there will be neither plowing nor harvest. God sent me before you to preserve for you a remnant on earth, and to keep alive for your many survivors. So it was not you who sent me here, but God. He has made me a father to Pharaoh, and the Lord of his house, and ruler over all the land of Egypt." What basically happens here is he sends his brothers back to go get his father and the rest of their household, and he says, "Come, you're going to get the best lands in Egypt. I'm going to set up this family in Egypt, and we are going to be taken care of. Because I know that there's remorse. I know that you feel bad and you wish you wouldn't have done it. And I'm set up." Joseph has the opportunity to provide for his family, but up until this moment, he didn't have a family to provide for. Now he has that family back. He shows his brothers the ultimate mercy here. He gives them their life, despite the fact that they took his for 22 years. Joseph brings Jacob and his family and sets them up here. This small family begins to grow over the next several generations, and these are the Israelites who end up marching out of Egypt with Moses. The millions that follow Moses out of slavery are all descendants of Jacob. All because Joseph showed his mercy to his brothers. We all have opportunities like this every single day. Maybe not as big as Joseph had to deal with, but we have opportunities to forgive and to grow and to move on with our lives. Are you showing mercy to the other people in this world? Think about this week. These videos are going to start coming on Wednesdays, once a week, as we start to get back ready for real life. That's how things are going to continue to roll for here on forward. We'll do once a week devotionals on Wednesdays. Sunday, the 14th of June, we are back at church for the regular 10 o'clock service. If you feel safe and healthy enough to be there, please come. We will have masks and disinfectant and hand sanitizer for everybody. Everything's going to be as protected as we can possibly be. Or stay home, continue to watch the videos. That service will be posted just like they will be from going forward now on all of our services. So continue to watch, continue to share. Thank you guys for sticking with me. This was a little longer one today, but it wraps up the story of Joseph. And it's such an awesome thing that we get to see the mercy that we can use in our lives. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you on Sunday.